Hey everybody, quick video, just gonna show you what I've done. Haven't done much tonight. I had to watch the kid. Wife was, or entertain the kid I should say, not watching the kid, but wife went out with friends tonight. I went ahead and installed all the servo arms for the rudder elevators. Went ahead and cut the channels for the servo arms to come out, and put all the hardware together so I can go ahead and line up and mark for the control horns and cut them and glue those in. I'll go over how I kind of did that here in a second. Off topic kind of stuff. I just wanted to show you something neat that I found. This stuff here, it's the guys I work with, some of the guys I work with call it lace tape. A lot of the electrician, or not electricians, but the electronics guys that do wires, stuff like that, they use this stuff to tie up wire bundles, all kinds of stuff, anything electrical. It's kind of a waxy string. It's flat. I got black and a white, and the good thing about it, when you tie it, because it's waxy, you know, it's really easy just to tie one knot and it doesn't back out on you. They have a special way that they wrap wires and tie them up, but I got this because I hate zip ties, and I thought this would be a great thing to use instead of zip ties. Because zip ties, you know, even though you get they're real flimsy and you get the small ones, you know, they're still hard plastic, and you know, they could end up cutting the wires if you get them too tight, or they can rub if you don't get them tight enough. So it's kind of a pain in the butt, and I hate them. You know, I just don't like the way they look in the models. And you know, some of these jets, you know, especially my next project, you know, you could end up having 50 or 60 zip ties in there. You know, that's a little bit of weight, not much, but it adds up. This stuff, it's like string. I mean, it doesn't weigh nothing. Especially y'all I'm going to be using, you know, you probably only use, you know, an inch or two per tie. And like I said, it's neat. You trim it off, stays in place, and that's what I'm going to use instead of zip ties. Cool thing I got from some guys at work also is this stuff. It's rubber. We call it chafe tape, and they just wrap the wire bundles with them. And then if they're going to do any kind of zip tie kind of thing, or clamp, they'll wrap a wire, and this will kind of keep it from cutting into the wires. I'm going to use this to run my wires through bulkheads and stuff. So just some neat stuff that I got a hold of. And something else I was doing tonight while I was entertaining the kid, well, listening actually, while he was playing games. I use these little guys, these HS81s, to actuate my two-way valves and my UP6 valve. You have to be careful with them if you have them hooked up wrong, and you know, it's at a place that'll bind it. It just strips the gears. So I had a couple that it was that pressure, my gear door sequencer, or gear sequencer, that I got to send back. When I hooked it up, because I hadn't set the endpoints on the servo throws, it basically went to full throw, and it stripped a couple of them. So I went ahead and ordered some new gear replacements. But I noticed when I ordered them, they had a metal set for this, so which is pretty cool. So I went ahead and ordered replacement gears. A couple set of the metal ones, so I can use those on my UP6 valves. I mean, I've never had a problem with it stripping on a UP6 valve, but the UP6 valve is a lot harder on the servo than the two-way valve. So I went ahead and bought a couple of the metal sets and put them in to use on my UP6 valves, the brake valves, and I'll just use the plastic gear ones on my two-ways. Just something goofy I wanted to show you guys. But anyways, back to what I've been doing. And I've got pictures to kind of show you guys this. the control surfaces on these, on everything, the elevators, rudders, ailerons, and flaps, they are all held in. Let me grab the wires. Show you there. Held in by a rod. And so what I did was I took the rod out, took the control surface off, put the rod back in, and then took a piece of tape, because you can see the rod going through this notch. There's a notch in the actual control surface. Run that rod through and took a piece of tape, lined it up between 2 points to give me a straight line, which that rod is the pivot point. So I went ahead and put tape on everything at the pivot point, so I know exactly where the joint of the control arm and the rod need to be to get it right on the hinge. So that was how I got the pivot point. And then after that, I just put the servos on, squared them up with a servo arm, and put the marks on the tape that I'm going to be cutting. And I'm just basically I went ahead and tighten this hardware down because it clamps down onto this ball in here, and it keeps them spaced like they need to be, and they're real tight. So I'll cut the 2 little channels with a Dremel real easy, and then those will slide down in and glue. I did that on all the control surfaces, so now I'm just ready to start cutting and getting these worked down in. So that is where I'm at as of now, and that'll probably be all I get done tonight, is just getting these cut out. Hopefully the wood blocks, I can get these things into some kind of wood block in here. They did put wood blocks in them, but they are kind of far back, and what somebody had mentioned doing was, he said he had to angle his like that, glued them in kind of at an angle to get them into the wood. I may have to do it a little bit, but based on where I can see the wood, if I can get at least half of or some of this into the wood, keeping it more vertical, I will. But if I have to tilt them a little bit, it's no big deal. Biggest thing is just making sure both are the same. And what I'll do is, when I put them in and measure and put the glue in there, I'll just measure from the screw down to the surface on both to make sure both the elevators are matching. Same for the ailerons and flaps. That way you get as close as possible to the same amount of throw per control surface, so you don't have to do any kind of. It just makes for a better setup, and you don't have to do as much mixing in your radio. So that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this going. Tomorrow I'll get a lot more done and stuff like that. This will be the slowest going part and everything. So once this is done, it's just basically final assembly. I'm going to go and put the tanks in tomorrow, and then I'll just be waiting on the turbine. Oh yeah, another thing too, these elevators, and I put this on the build thread, the 2-inch arms for the elevators, you can use them, but in order to get those in and get the servo out of the inside up, I would have had to cut a huge line way down here just to get the servo arm up, and it was way up here. So I cut about a quarter of it, actually about a ½ inch off, and used there was 4 holes. I'm using the third one, the second one from the middle now, and it's more than enough. So this can the elevators, you could probably do a 1 to 1.5 servo arm and be fine. Rudder, you could probably do a 1.5, but the 2 looks to be perfect because you need a little bit more throw for your rudder. Flaps, definitely 2-inch, and the ailerons 1-inch to 1.5 is fine. Probably a 1-inch is better. Just depends on what kind of setup you do here. For the ailerons, if you use the the ones that come with the kit, which I did, these guys, you can get away with having a smaller, shorter servo arm, but because I'm using these ball ends, they bolt on the side of the servo arm. So, you know, if you get too close, it'll hit. You know, the ball actually hits on each side of the skin. So, just something to watch out for. All right, but that's about it. I'm gonna do all of them, and I'll leave the last one to do a video on to show you as I'm cutting and gluing it in. So I'm gonna get to work on that, and hopefully, yeah, I can get some more videos out tomorrow. It's been kind of slow going on this project, but I got another project that's almost done, and this over here is all the equipment. So you can see all the servos, maybe BLS 175s, 172s, these little two guys, and that's empty. Two receivers, the battery backer, cables, and the terminal boxes are in the back. So when the next project gets here, it'll be ready to go. And I'll try to post a teaser picture or something when I post these other pictures. But you guys have a good one, and I'm going to get back to work.